So I hope you find this morning's session useful. As I say, we've got two presentations. First presentation is going to be from Gareth Elder, who is our database development and data intelligence manager. And Gareth is going to present around the new portal dashboard and its features. And then I'm sure a number of you will know Allison Shaw, who's our engagement officer, workforce development officer with the lead on engagement. And Allison's going to present on engaging with you. The session this morning is being recorded, and I hope that's okay with everybody. And at this stage, we're going to watch a short video, and then it's directly over to Gareth. Thank you.
Okay, morning folks and welcome. So my name is Gareth Elder and I'm the database manager at the Social Care Council. And basically what I'm going to do this morning is take you through our new employer dashboard, show you all the new features we have to offer and give you a run through of how it all works and some of the key things you should be looking out for on it. As part of this as well, then we also want your feedback. Rather than having everyone talking at once, as Mervyn said, if you can make use of the chat function, my colleague Michael is on hand there to answer as we're going through it. And I suppose if there's anything common coming up, we can do it at the end of the Q&A. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my screen with you. Hopefully everyone can see the current employer portal. This should be familiar to most of you, and I think probably the best thing we could say about it at the minute is it serves a purpose. It shows you fairly static information, and when you first land on it, there's nothing that jumps out at you that requires your attention. So what we've tried to do with the new dashboard is basically give you, this is what you need to action immediately as soon as you jump on. So keep that one in mind, and then this is our new dashboard for you. So first thing you should notice is obviously the new design. It's still in a tile format, but you're seeing more on the page. And I suppose the bold colors, so you've got the red, amber, green sort of migrating down the right-hand side there. And if you look closely within that, that's actually showing you live information. So you'll see there in the overdue registrants, you have 2 registrants with overdue fees and 2 with an overdue renewal. And then likewise in the amber one, you have 1 registrant upcoming for renewal. And in the organisation applicants, you're showing 10 there. So as your applicants, your registrants start to do their application forms, pay their fees, do the renewals, those numbers will continually change. And that's all live, real-time information. So I'm going to go in and I suppose show you the tiles that are personal to you and differentiate between them. So you have 3 tiles that are personal to you as the endorser or the employer. So you have my details tile, the my registration tile, and the my fees tile. And I suppose some of the elements of feedback we're looking at is, you'll see under my details, we've currently got it set to just your name and email address, which is showing there. We can show a range of information there. If you want to see things like your SCR number, anything personal about you, we can display that on screen, just in that box. And whenever you click edit, then that's taking you in to actually edit those details. So whether or not it's updating your account details, your contact details, changing your name or updating your employment. The next tile there is the My Registration tile. And you'll see that it shows like your current registration. And this again is yourself, it's not your registrants. Showing that it runs until the 31st of March 2022. We can display a range of information in there. So if you want things like when's your membership start and end date, when are your renewal dates, when's your annual fee dates, which subpart you registered on, whether it's qualified social worker or adult residential care, we can display all that in those tiles. So I suppose I'd ask you to have a think, and please comment in the chat in terms of what you think is useful there to see as soon as you jump on it. And then the final one that's personal to you is the My Fees tile. So you'll see there again, it's live information showing £65 outstanding balance. Previously in the old portal, you had probably 3 or 4 screens to click through before you actually got to the stage of being able to pay that fee. We've made it much more simple now. So you're clicking pay now and it's popping open basically a review of what it is. So it's standard qualified social worker renewal fee, £65. It's pre-populating all your details that we have for you, and you're simply clicking pay. The next stage then is to enter your card details. So there's no jumping between pages. It's all very straightforward. And this will be the same for the registrants going on to pay on their own dashboards. Their dashboard's slightly different to the employer one, but the fees remains the same. So I will show you now the overdue registrants. So if we click into one of these tiles, a few changes in these pages as well. So first one is keynote section. So you'll see here that this is present. This is on all the employer tables, all the pages that are there. And you see it's a drop down. So when you first load up the page, it'll be hidden like that, but you have a little arrow to indicate that there's more information. So basically what we're going to have in here is more information about what this chart shows and what the tables show below. So at the moment, it's just giving you a brief overview of what the annual fee dates and renewal dates and things mean. But again, if there's things in there that you think are helpful to, I suppose, you managers or endorsers, or you want more information in there, please let us know what you think would be useful. The chart then itself is new, so because this is the registers without standard fees, and because this is a test account, there's only 2 in it. So if you hover over it, you'll see that it's displaying April there, and it's showing a count of 2. So it's showing that there's 2 people without standard fees that were due to pay in April. So if this showed January, February, March, you would obviously see a much more full chart with details split up. One of the key elements here that we're wanting feedback on is what do you want to happen as an endorser when you click on the relevant month. So if you have 2 there for January and you click on that segment, do you want the information below just to show those that relate to January, or would you like it to split down further into showing maybe which subparts those users belong to? So again, have a think about that. The other new feature across all the pages of the employer portal is this search function at the bottom of the page. So particularly useful for the bigger organizations or people with registrants that span across multiple pages. The previous portal, we had numbers kind of 1 to 50 down the bottom. And if you were looking for, say, my colleague, Catherine McGuire, you might have had to jump to page 5 or 6 to try and find Catherine and hope that you landed on C. Now we've got this live search function. So as you start to type, you'll see that Catherine appears. My other colleague, Brenda, again, as you start to type, you'll see that she appears. So you can search on first name, surname, and SCR number on that. And that is really, really helpful. As part of this table then, I think most of you probably know we have the view details section already. Within the view details section, you have further information here. So the first section of it is basically about your registrant and the login details. So you'll see there the email address, the person's username, and the date they last logged into the portal. So if you have a registrant who's struggling to get access to their account, know that you have that to hand within, again, all those registration tables. You've got details of their actual current registration then, so the part, subpart, when their annual fee date and when the renewal date are, and of course you have access to view the certificate at any time. The employment then, you have, if you have someone in your list, I suppose, that is no longer working for your organisation or has recently left, you have the option now to remove them from posts. That is a feature that's in live at the moment, but it's been temporarily taken down just until we update the grids on it. that'll then give you another option to say why the person's no longer in post. And then, of course, you've got the unpaid fees section. So you'll see there again, it gives you a brief overview of qualified social worker, which year of their membership they're on, and the invoice date and the outstanding balance. We'll jump back to dashboard. And some of the other things then, so if we go into the applications for endorsement, at the moment there's no search function here. This will be added in time for go live, and go live is anticipated to be around the end of May for this. So we have really 4 weeks between now and us pushing it in for you guys to see. And I suppose that's just to give us time in terms of getting feedback from these sessions, from what everybody wants added to it, and we'll try and get as much in as we can. So there will be a search function on here. The other additions, I suppose, to these screens are, we have these shortcuts down the right hand side there. So those pages there, so those are there in the current live portal at the moment. However, what would happen is if you clicked on that, it would take you back to a page where you had to then choose your organization again and go through maybe another 2 or 3 pages to get to where you want to go. Now you can just click on that, and that'll take you straight between the live tables. Come on. Okay. So that just jumps between them. If you're an endorser for multiple organizations, you have the ability to choose your organization here. So this one's set up with 1 account. However, if you have a second organization, it's only a matter of changing the organization, and those pages update in real time. There's no loading between them. There's no load time. It's just simple as just moving on to another page. And I think that's pretty much it. Here. So yeah, basically just to give you an overview. So we have that live and interactive dashboard now. We've got the bold color design, which really should draw your attention straight to, I suppose, those red and amber ties now, which will tell you which actions you need to take. We've got the live search functionality across all the tables. We've got the graph breakdown across all the tables, and we've got those collapsible text fields and the shortcuts throughout all the pages. And I suppose now we're looking at your feedback for what, in addition to those, we can add, or what makes sense to make it better. I will pass back to Mervyn.
Thanks, Gareth. We really three purposes this morning in terms of the session. The first was to present the new portal dashboard and the features, and hopefully this will be something that will be helpful for you as you're managing your registered staff. But as Gareth has alluded to, we also want to get feedback and have discussion on the portal design. So this is an opportunity for you to give us some comments. So we're happy for you to go off on mute at this stage. Michael Robb, one of my colleagues there in the council, he's been busy responding to some questions. So we'll deal with those first of all, those that maybe haven't been dealt with. And then please do come in, because we've got a bit of time here for you to give us comments on what you feel perhaps should be changed or any other comments that you've got. So Michael, you can keep me right here. Maria Devon had a comment about workplaces and also the need for more options. I think it's related also to Denise's query about having more options about for people who are no longer in post.
Yeah, at the moment that functionality has just been, as you know, there was always no longer in post functionality. It has been sort of taken down at the moment because we're doing development work on it for this project. But whenever this redevelopment work and all your feedback comes in and we do the further development, whenever it goes live, that option will be there. And just to sort of answer Maria and Denise, we have actually updated that list. So as you say, there's a list of reasons, as you know, drop down that tells you, you know, why the person has left employment, and we have updated those. But again, if you can give us any feedback on what you would like to see, we can sort of compare what you want with that existing list, and we can update it as well going forward. But that no longer in post functionality will be back in again. And as I say, we have made efforts to update those reasons.
Rob, even if you were able to put in other and free text, it would be helpful, because I don't know how many options that you would need to have to cover every situation, and maybe through time you can add those in once you see that there's a trend for a certain topic. The other question I would like to ask is, as an organisation of multiple sites, we have 30 different schemes who have got staff registered with yourselves. I have a wee bit of a concern about the GDPR aspect of things, and that all our endorsers have access to all staff's details, and that might not be appropriate, and whether or not you're going to be able to filter that out based on work placements. So an endorser can only endorse staff for their own scheme, for example.
So Maria, that's something we're looking into at the minute, the workplace addresses. So basically having endorsers, so you as the lead endorser, for example, can allocate staff to individual endorsers so that they can only see that list. It's something we're working on in the background. It won't be ready for the end of May. It's currently in discussion, I suppose, in terms of how we can get it all to work with the system. But it's certainly something we're looking at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
And Maria, you're with the trust, aren't you?
No, I'm with Apex Housing.
Sorry, Apex, okay. Because it came up, I think, in one of our other sessions. I think a similar question, if not exactly the same question that you had mentioned.
Yeah.
Maria, I would add to that, though, at the moment it is only locked in, so the only people that would see your whole organisation would be a lead endorser, and we would be of the view that that person has been selected as a lead endorser to allow them to see the whole organisation.
No, absolutely, yeah.
But if somebody picks a specific person outside of that, then those applications, for example, or registrants are locked to that person. But as Gareth says, we'll look into those other.
Yeah, it's just the whole site. Obviously, as lead endorser, I do see everybody, but my understanding is that other endorsers can also see the whole site list.
That would only be another an ordinary level endorser wouldn't. It would only be another lead endorser. So if you had a couple of lead endorsers, yes, they would see everything. But the way the system, in terms of the rules and the privileges for those rules on the portal, it would only be so. For example, if you weren't a lead endorser and someone selected you as their endorser, you would only see those people plus the lead endorser. That would be the only two people that would see it.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
There's specific questions come in about a particular worker. I think it's worth. I would just suggest that if you Michael roll up, Michael's put up an email address. If you can just send that direct query about that particular person to Michael, Michael will follow that up. Denise, Denise, you have a question about recording training?
Yes, sorry, Mervyn, I can't get my camera on the laptop. I'm down in one of our homes in Newcastle, and I'm afraid to touch anything in case it. But the camera is the wrong way. That's why.
Is there any smoke down there this morning in Newcastle, or is it all?
No, do you know what? It's lovely. I've been down in Newcastle here since last Tuesday, and I'm happy to say, driving down the road today, there was no smoke on the moorings, but it's charred. It is charred. It's a bit sad, but it's charred.
Okay.
So sorry, I can't. I'm afraid to turn the laptop. I can't get the camera around. We just were wondering your learning zone quite a bit for additional training and support. An avenue to add on to our own training. But I was just wondering, if staff who are registered with NISC were able to complete. Your your safeguarding training or your induction training, how they could store that or that be recorded on their individual portal, and then as an endorser employer that we would have access to see what they've actually completed. Is that a possibility?
At the moment, Denise, there is an option on the portal. It's called PRTL, so your post-registration training and learning. That functionality is there to allow people to record their training. At the moment, and I don't think that's just there for the well, it's there for two things. It would be internally for us. So as a regulator, in some cases, it's not for part 2s of the register, but part 1s in the register. At the moment, we would go in and do an audit, so we can see those PRTL records, and we would use them to audit them. But you still can use the functionality as part 2, so the social care workers can still go in and record the training there, and then they would see that training themselves on the portal. But at the moment, it's not visible to you.
Yeah.
But again, that's something if we will take back and sort of talk to to the workforce development side of of NISC, and we'll see what we can do about that, if that's something that would be helpful, or if it's allowed to be done, and certainly we could take that forward on the portal. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Denise, is your specific question, can the endorser see the person's record of their training? Is that your
Yeah, well, that or as the employer, just because though I'm the endorser and would be on the NISC, I'm nurse trained, so I'm on the NMC register as opposed to, you know, the NISC register. But I'm just looking at it from, I'm not quite sure, do our staff actually save their training on their NISC? I'm not sure that they're
We'll
aware.
talk about that in a wee minute. I'll cover a wee bit about that shortly.
Okay, Alison, thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Okay, there's a question has come in, chat function there, and it's come in from Martina. Staff are panicking that they will be removed because of the problems they're experiencing with making payments, and sometimes my portal does not always update. For example, it says needs ID even though it's been uploaded.
Yeah, it's a problem we've been experiencing for the past. Well, really, what happened was I took over being the lead endorser, and the staff. There was one team manager said that she sat with a candidate and uploaded all the documents, and then whenever I went onto my portal, it was saying waiting on ID, and it's just sort of, it seems to me when they update their details and my details don't seem to register that they've made changes or made a payment. It's sort of like mine. I don't know if it's something to do with our internal network or it's just a general web, portal problem.
Martina, if you just scroll back in the chat there and see my email address, michael.rob, can you drop them through to me? So if you can send those examples over to me, I'll have a look at them.
Perfect.
And I'll get back to you.
Appreciate
Okay.
that. Thanks, Michael.
Oh, okay.
So Martina, just to touch on that as well, so seeing the organisation applicants list on the portal where it gives you that awaiting ID and it'll say in progress process, we're making changes to that as well, which we're hoping to have in at the same time as the employer portal, so it's a bit more clear in terms of when ID has been uploaded, when payments been made, etc. So hopefully that helps.
And also, Martina, just to pick up on the point, at the moment there is no there's no action being taken in terms of removing people. We're aware about the deferred payment period. That was something that came through from the department, and there is that issue of like people weren't sort of asked to pay until after the 1st of October, and there has been issues because we don't have our regular phone lines open. So at the moment, I would say to staff, don't panic. We're not going to be taking anybody off any action, and if we do resume doing the removal process, we will be giving especially the employers, a lot of advance notice that would be coming in, and we would also be given advance notice of who we would be potentially taking off, but we would be given a lot more notice, as you probably recall in the old system, which was kind of like a week, whatever. There would be far more, time, a larger time period than that. So don't be panicking or tell your staff.
Oh, that's perfect. Thanks, Michael.
Okay.
I think Fiona's question is the same as perhaps Denise's, so we'll hold that one to Alison's presentation, and then we can maybe pick still not answered. Okay, any more questions or comments, folks?
No.
No. Okay. If you do have any comments or questions, keep putting them into the chat function, because we're ahead of time here, so we will come back. But the third purpose of this morning was to just update you as employers on our workforce developments that we've got, including engagement opportunities and learning resources. So I'm going to hand over at this stage to Allison. I know some of you will know Allison well, and she's had contact with you and your organisations. But for those of you who don't know, Allison's a workforce development officer with a lead on engagement. So Allison, over to yourself.
Hey, thanks, Marvin. Yes, I do recognise some faces, but it's been quite a while since I've been out and about, so zoom all the way. So I've got the opportunity this morning, I suppose, to give you a little bit of an update on what we've been doing within the council. Could you go to the next slide, Heisa, please? Okay, so over the last year or so, like yourselves, we've been working remotely from home, and it's been very interesting. So our registration team, the stats at the minute say that we've over 48,000 essential frontline key workers on our register, and that's across social work, social care, and our social work students. There are 3 strands to our model of regulation, and that's maintaining and raising standards, registration and regulation, and supporting the workforce through continuous professional learning. And I suppose we do that by leading partnership, communication and engagement with the sector and our key stakeholders. So that's really just a wee bit of an update on where I'm going to focus this morning. It's about supporting the workforce. So next slide, please. So how do we communicate? Today I want to give you some information on the work that we've been doing, I suppose, to support yourself, to develop skills and knowledge, and supporting career development, because hopefully they're going to stay with our social care employers for a lot of years to come. As you all know, we are now in a digital world. We use our phones, our iPads and computers to communicate, to research, for our learning and development. We even attend interviews now through the digital world, Zoom, and we even have our coffees with our mates. I certainly do. In today's world, I think we are modern learners. We're using technology to learn as and when we need to. In fact, research has told us that modern learners are busy, easily distracted, overwhelmed, and wanting to learn on their own terms when they have the time to focus and a pace that suits them. We're hungry for information, and I suppose I can connect to that. You know, it's about getting the time, and I take it when I can. The new digital world means that we're now engaging more and more with our registrants via Zoom meetings and seminars and events like today, which is great because Zoom does encourage people to attend the events that we have. New slide, please, Heisa. So to enable us to provide resources that are fit for purpose, we look for information available from research, surveys and engagement, and we use it to design or adapt digital resources on our learning zone to build engaging, visual and relevant resources. So if you're not familiar with our learning zone, hopefully after this next 10 minutes you will be. We have 28 adapt resources, 14 learning zone pages and 4 mobile apps. The resources are free to access. There's no login and there's no registration required. So access can be done at any time. And in fact, it's just not our registrants that are using the learning zone. It's been used very much more than we ever thought it would have been. The learning is bite-sized. The content is visual and it's engaging. It's consistent, consistent messaging in terms of our standards of practice, raising the quality and outcomes for our service users. Can we provide evidence for your PRTL, which is your post-registration training and learning? I think it's important to know that all our resources are developed in partnership with employers, stakeholders, so that's like the department, our QIA, HSC and our service users. So we engage with everybody to provide these really good resources. Next slide, please. COVID resources. In the last year, you will have seen the continuous development of our learning zone. In 2020, I think it was about November, we won the European Social Network Team Award with our digital resources to support the social care workforce through COVID. And when I say we won it, I just don't mean the staff in the council. I mean everyone who worked with us to produce these resources. And it was a great achievement, and it shows that when we work together, what we can accomplish. We developed 4 specific resources for COVID, and hopefully, again, everybody is familiar with them. Supporting good infection control, which we're hitting just nearly 24,000 visits at the minute. Hopes, hints, and how-tos, about 10,500. Shielding and isolation, which is about 6,500. And resilience and well-being is just hitting 6,000 visits. So I think the figures speak for themselves. They're being used and feedback is extremely encouraging for us. And they are making a difference, I suppose, for our registrants in terms of the care they're providing. Next slide, please, Heisa. New resources. Okay, so on the Learning Zone, you can now access our newest resource, which is Making the Right Decisions. Took us a wee while, but we got there in the end. We worked with our Fitness to Practice team to develop this resource. So we selected 6 scenarios which we felt were reoccurring more than usual in the referrals to the team. So we have, in the resource, we look at sleeping on duty, social media, failure to report, accepting gifts, professional boundaries, and medication. And those will be scenarios that we've played through. They're interactive in a way because we ask you to select the question or the answer that you think might have been the correct one. And then we will connect the outcomes to our standards. So it's a good way of saying the right way to do something and how it fits with the standards of conduct and practice. Having spoken to some managers over the last few weeks, they're planning on using the films with new staff, so at induction sessions, but they're also going to take the opportunity to remind all staff of how situations can be managed, and this is where they will refer them to the resource on the Learning Zone. This may answer some of your questions from earlier. So we are frequently asked about certificates. We don't issue certificates on the completion of a module of one of our resources. Our resources don't replace your training. They're there to support your learning and development, so they complement the training that staff are being given. However, at the end of each module, you will have a section on reflection. We encourage everyone to take some time to reflect on what we have learned, on what you've learned. You can print this reflection and you can take it to your one-to-ones or your supervision and discuss it with your line manager. It can also be used for your PRTL. Now you would have to probably upload them and send them in at the time of your re-registration. Just a reminder, your PRTL is 90 hours of learning during your period of registration. So for social care workers and seniors, it's 90 hours over 5 years. And for managers and social workers, it's 90 hours in 3 years. So it's a good way to learn and consider what you've done, reflect on it, and then discuss it through with your manager. Within the next 4 to 6 weeks, we hope to have some new resources available, and that's your grief and bereavement resource. So we worked with coordinators from across the trusts, organisations who support people who are going through the grieving process, and others to produce this. There's a series of interviews and films which are very interesting, and they will guide your staff. Mervyn, in fact, is the lead on that resource. Making a difference to loneliness. This is a working title just at the minute, so it might change when you see it appear. It's actually replacing the isolation, the loneliness resource that we have. In fact, we're updating it. And we have engaged with staff and service users just to say about the impact of loneliness. And this resource is to guide people on how best to support our service users through, I suppose, which is a really difficult time for everybody. And we do have a lot more people who are in the house and can't get out to meet people, or in care homes and they haven't got their families coming in to see them. Reflective practice for social care workers, and this links in nicely to the reflection piece at the end of each of our resources. We have done this to try to help people see best how they can reflect on their work that they've done and how they can make a difference to what they might have done, what went well and what didn't go well. So that little piece of work should be ready in the next 4 to 6 weeks as well. Next slide, Heisa. Okay, so what's coming? Our social care echo is the first one. So for the last couple of years, we've been running echo sessions, and I know some of you attend them because I recognise some of the faces. ECHO stands for Extension of Community Healthcare Outcomes. We invite care home managers and supervisors, that's our domiciliary care and supported living managers and supervisors, from across the sector in Northern Ireland to join these virtual sessions. The programme is delivered in partnership with ECHO participants who identify ideas that they would like to know more about. We then invite experts in that field to come to the sessions. So our last session, which was last week, was on the mental capacity legislation and practice, and it incorporated the deprivation of liberty. And Mervyn may want to just mention that just at the end, because it was a very successful session. I think we had about 60 managers attend that. We have 2 further sessions planned for the coming months. We have 8, let me say, I haven't got the dates here. May, 21st May and the 18th of June. And the information on those ECHO sessions will be on our website. If you're interested in the ECHO, you need to register for the sessions, and Mervyn will be able to give you more information. In fact, I'll put Mervyn's email up at the end of the session and you can email him. Lunchtime seminars. Lunchtime seminars, we're currently putting that programme together for the coming year. And I suppose I mention it today because we have a lot of social care at today's events, care staff. It would be great if we could engage with yourselves to have some seminars that are focused on social care. Mostly at the minute they're around social work, and social work staff deliver them, but we do have social care staff attend them. The seminars are a platform for registrants to present and share ideas of good practice, or maybe some research. So maybe you've developed a new way of working or delivering a service, and it's made a difference to you, your employer, and your service user. This platform allows you to share that work with your colleagues. If you don't want to present, you can attend them. Again, they're free, you register and you attend them, and they're usually from 12 to 1:30. But if you are interested in doing a seminar, please drop me a wee line. The learning from the seminar, again, can be used for your PRTL. Attendance for the seminars is probably around about 150 people. They're recorded and they're available on our website. So maybe you want to take a wee look at them and you might find something of interest to you. I haven't got it up here, but we are hoping to resume our social care manager forums, probably around the end of May or start of June. The forums, again, are a platform for us to meet with managers and senior staff to give updates on what's happening in the council, to update you on developments on current issues, and to share examples of best practice from providers. It also gives you the network, or the opportunity to network with your peers. I suppose the care sector virtual job fair, it has now happened, but I thought it would be good just to update you about the work that we're doing to promote careers in social work and social care. And we do have, for the employers that are interested, we do have a value-based recruitment resource on our learning zone. So you can take a wee look at that to see how we've looked at value-based in terms of recruiting the best people into the workforce. For the other piece of work we're doing is with the council, as I said. So Belfast City Council, we have over the last couple of years been working with them in terms of social care academies. And the social care academies, they're a week long. And at the end of the week, we will have a panel of employers who have jobs available for people wanting to work in social care. So the academies inform people about the role of social care, the difference it makes. They look at the standards of conduct and practice, about registration. So it's a week that prepare people who are interested in social care as a career, and then they have an interview at the end. Now, I do have to say, at the end of the week, we will have people who will walk away who don't want to work in social care. And for us, that's a good achievement too, because we're not wasting employers' time by bringing these people into the workforce and training them up. So that work has been going on for a couple of years, and I do know other councils are looking at introducing something similar. Last week, there were a series of virtual job fairs. In fact, I think there were 4 overall that the Department of Communities had facilitated, and when I was on social media, I saw them popping up in my social media all the time. Now, I went to the one on Thursday, and I have to say, although we were there and we weren't an employer, but I had about 55 people who came and had a chat with me about working in social care. And there was lots of employers there, so they had the opportunity to go and see what other jobs were available. So I would imagine these will happen again more and more in the coming months. But it's great to see that we are working together to support careers in social work and social care. Next slide, Heisa. Okay, so this is just a wee reminder. So before COVID, we did do a lot of face-to-face engagement. It was a really good opportunity to introduce ourselves to your staff. And in fact, over the last few months, through surveys and feedback, we are still being told that staff don't know a lot about the Social Care Council. They don't know our role. They don't know why they have to pay a registration fee. So I think it's important that we get the opportunity to engage with your staff and talk about who we are and how we can support them and why they're registered. And I'm not just referring to new staff, because I know a lot of you have a lot of new staff in the workplace in the last year, but it's about the staff that are maybe there 10 years, 15 years, and they don't know who we are. So at the sessions, I would have talked about registration, regulation, being part of a professional body. And again, what we've been talking about today, the resources that are available to support staff through their CPD. So if you do have some events coming up, and you do think we could have 5 or 10, well, not 5 minutes, maybe more 10 or 20 minutes to come and talk to your staff about the Social Care Council, please drop me a wee line. It would be great to engage at a Zoom meeting. And in fact, I've had some requests now to come out and talk to small groups face to face. And I suppose that's around ensuring that we've got the correct PPE as well. But I'm just going to finish up. And I will share information with some of our links and our email addresses now when I finish. Please think about inviting us along. Visit the website, visit the Learning Zone, and there's lots of information on our lunchtime seminars. And I think now Heisa has maybe a wee short film to play. Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. Just to some concluding comments, and I'm going to try and answer Maria's question as well about login. Just to say, really encourage you to please visit the Social Care Council website. Particularly the front page keeps changing in terms of some events which are coming up, but please also do visit the events page where you'll see up and coming events. The Learning Zone, really encourage people to visit it as often as possible. There is no passwords required for that. It is a completely open access. So please do visit the Learning Zone, and that should be of help to you as well. Just a couple of things. We're also being, some of you might have noticed that we're involved with, but we're also promoting a network for those of you who are involved with care homes, if you've got, if you're providing activities in care homes, and particularly during the time of COVID, when people aren't necessarily going out to activities, if you've got a care home activity coordinator or somebody who fulfills that type of role, there is a network now called Care Home Activity Coordinators. It's a network. It is under ECHO at the moment. They're facilitating it. It's not our ECHO, but it is available. It's meeting every 2 months and has been since the end of last year. So if you want any more details about that, either visit the website or contact me. The next session is on the 21st of May, and it's a 2-hour session every 2 months focused on care home activity coordinators. On the same date, bit of a clash, is our own ECHO. This is the social care ECHO for domiciliary care managers and supervisors, and that includes people providing supported living. So our next session is on that same date as well, and it's around digitalization and assistive technology for care at home. So if you can put that date in your diary as well, it's 10 o'clock to 11:30 for our ECHO, and then the care home activities one is running at the same time from 10 o'clock until noon. If you're not part of the ECHO, I'd really encourage you to join it, because if you can't make the sessions, then ECHO have a thing called a Moodle site, and that means that if you're registered with ECHO, that you can go back in and see all the recordings from the time that we started the ECHO, and all the presentations are there, and it's been really good quality presentations. As Allison mentioned, we had a session on mental capacity legislation and practice, including deprivation of liberties, just last Friday. We had an excellent presentation from Dr. Nazia Latif from an organization called Right Practice. And so that's an example of a presentation that you can go in. In fact, you can see the recording of the session. So if you're registered with ECHO, you've got access to all that information. Whilst the Learning Zone is completely free access and open access to anybody, not just for social care staff or social workers, the PRTL section is where a login is required. So people can go to their portal, my portal, and they have to have a login for it. I'm hoping, Maria, that answers the question about how can learning be evidenced if there's no login required. People can upload anything that they either attend or they read or are part of on their portal. Now they have to log in for that, but there's no login required for the Learning Zone. It's complete admin for it. So I'm hoping that answers that question. Now, we've given you a lot of information there in the past few minutes. Just going back on the chat function to see if there's any other questions. I don't think there is. So if you'd like to unmute again, if there's any last minute questions or comments, either about engagement or about the portal, please do comment.
With regards to the learning section, because I'm really keen that staff develop themselves as much as they can. They've become very reliant on what an employer can do for them rather than what they can do for themselves. Is there any way, I suppose what I'm asking is, how do you promote it to the individuals? Do you send them emails or text messages, or, you know, if they haven't added anything to their profile in the last 12 months, do they get any prompts to do that, etc.?
Yeah, I suppose the official line is that those unfortunate people will be called for audit. There's a sample taken where so many people will be called for audit, either social workers or social care workers within a certain period of time. And they have to then show that they have actually completed their at least 90 hours of training, which actually shouldn't be a problem for anybody, either social care or as a social worker. And we're encouraging people, look, it doesn't have to be necessarily a face-to-face session. It can be part of our Learning Zone. If, for example, somebody spent half an hour going through one of our resources on the Learning Zone and recorded that on their portal, then we would accept that. Or if they read a journal or et cetera, et cetera. There's so many opportunities that people should really have no excuse. And I know what you're saying, Maria, because I think the trick is once people do something, they should immediately go onto the portal and log it in. So for example, on Friday after the session, I went in as well and put into my portal that I had attended the session on Friday, and it's getting into that way of doing. I suppose my suggestion, my tip would be that if supervisors in their supervisions had PRTL on the agenda to say, right, have you done it in the last month, you know, or show us or print it off, because you can print the report as well. And if that became sort of a routine thing, because what you don't want is you don't want somebody getting a letter from us to say, right, you have now been called for audit, and they're panicking, thinking, oh, look, I did do this stuff, but I can't remember, or I haven't done it, and then it's a cram to get it all done. So I'm hoping those comments are helpful.
No,
Sorry,
that's
folks.
fine.
Sorry, Maria. Sorry, folks. I've had that barking dog there in the background. But to add to Maria, at the moment, and it's further to what Mervin's saying there, the issue with PRTL though is that at the moment we only have PRTL for part one. So we only do an audit for the part one people, for the social workers. So they're the only people called for audit, although there is work being developed, and that's sort of the point Mervin's making, that we are going to go and take this to part twos as well, to the social care workers will also eventually be audited. That is something that they're looking to implement. So at the moment, there may be not much of an uptake within the social care side of it because they're not being audited or whatever. But as Mervyn said, it'd be good because that is probably going to be introduced, that people do get into the mindset of actually starting to do it in preparation for that sort of probably compulsory nature of it, you know, going forward.
Oh, I totally agree. That's a good option, because I think the vast majority of registrants don't truly value the benefits of NISC, and in their mind, it's just something that they have to pay. You know, they have a fee to pay for every year. They don't realise all the add-ons that are available to them, but having them subject to be audited at a point in time would, I think, focus our minds probably better on what NISC is actually about, rather than just that month annual fee that I remind them about.
Maria, sorry, I know I've been down with you a couple of years ago now, and we did have a pilot for social care audits, and it could still be working in the background. So we are always encouraging people now, really from the word go, to start recording their learning, because they don't know when they're going to get called and if they have it there. And it used to be paper format, so now we've progressed a wee bit, but we would have said to, you know, even fill it in paper format so that you can take it to your supervision. And when you are called, then it's a matter of scanning it all and you have it all done. It's 18 hours a year, you know, for a social care worker. And the examples that we have, they can pick it up in no time. You know, it's and the learning some now will just make it so much easier in terms of the learning, that's the resources that are there, you know.
No,
So
absolutely, it's a great idea, and I think the suggestion about it being integrated into the supervision sessions as well is something that I'll definitely be taking forward with our organisation. Thank you.
Whilst we're the regulator, maybe we do want to come from an encouragement point of view. And so, you know, if you've got a staff meeting, which is, you know, you're planning over the next couple of months, then, you know, Allison's offer is there. Particularly, you know, using these Zoom arrangements, you know, the reach can be so much greater. So, you know, if you have a staff meeting and you want to really encourage your staff in terms of their learning and development, then why not invite Allison along just to present for about 15 or 20 minutes, and she will talk about, you know, the role of the Social Care Council, the resources that are available, and expectations. Okay, any final questions before we finish? Everybody down for a cup of coffee, presumably. Can I just say that, you know, our engagement and us receiving feedback doesn't end with this session. You've now got email addresses there for us. So, you know, even whilst this, the new bits will go live towards the end of May, as Gareth said, We are always open to people giving us feedback and suggestions and comments. So, please keep doing that. So can I thank you for your time this morning, and hope it's been of help to you, and hopefully we'll see you at some future event. Thank you.